Today, a full driving review of the all-new Audi A6 sedan, the limousine, as we say in German. And here, the new A6 generation in front of the Audi Forum in Ingolstadt, the heartland of Audi, basically. With Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with this front grille, typical single frame design with a, very small edge, so to speak. So basically blends over to the rest of this Daytona gray. Audi rings here in the bright styling. You could also get darkened out one, but in this way they are way more visible. And headlamps, they have this grid before them, basically, like a little bit hidden behind this honeycomb net. Very interesting. These are also the Matrix LED. And I think the Daytona Grey also fits the vehicle very, very well. It is available as the Avant, the estate form, and now also again as the classic sedan shape or saloon. You can see here this typical silhouette, but it has now in this generation somewhat a fastback style, but it is still a separate sedan trunk. Let's take it that way. The length here is 4.99 meters or 197 inches, so it has grown a little bit. These ones are the biggest wheels available, 21 inch. I think they look stunning. However, for comfort, smaller is better, definitely. Red brake calipers as a contrast. Yeah, and of course, this one gets scratched more easily. Air suspension is an option here. We do have it equipped. There is also base suspension, but also a fixed sport suspension, so depending on what you want. And this one also equipped with the optional rear axle steering. It goes up to 5 degrees in the opposite direction, reducing the turning circle by over a meter. So it's a good choice for narrow European cities, for example. To the rear, this one was, let's say, most controversial, definitely, because they took some citations from previous generations, where here this is not like upright, but more like a expensive yacht, like a boat, like a luxury boat. I honestly have to say, in the front and the side profile, I love it, but this rear, I would have preferred the previous generation styling. What's your take on that? Once again, the bright Audi rings right here and clean, no fake exhaust design. Audi is going away from fake exhaust, thanks to the Audi fake exhaust police. And here for the V6, we have then also the real exhaust, but even the other engines will have that, and this diffuser styling in the lower part. Tell me in the comments if you would prefer the sedan or the Avant. And we have to talk about the engines. As I said, this one here, the 3-liter V6. So classic 6-cylinder power, 367 horsepower, 4.7 seconds in the acceleration figure, and it's actually the same for the sedan and for the estate. There we are. It also has the MHEV Plus technology, at least in Europe and in some other markets. 1.7 kilowatt hours, it's a mild hybrid system, which allows you some electric moments while parking in and so on, or maybe rolling and so on. And as a smaller engines, 2-liter TFSI, this one without the MHEV Plus, and the 2-liter TDI. And you can also get now a new plug-in hybrid based on the 2-liter TFSI with a significantly large battery. All the engine specs and facts and figures are also in the separate data comment and also in the video description. And we of course drive this one here today for you on the German Autobahn. And very important to know here, the Quattro badge. What does it mean here? The standard Quattro, like 40% in the front, 60% in the rear, is gone, at least for this vehicle. And now the Quattro Ultra, what does it mean? Yes, it's basically front wheel bias. It starts with that, but then the more throttle you apply, the more power is also sent to the rear wheels. And it can be up to 30 front, 70% in the rear in extreme situations. Plus this one here, this very vehicle, the V6 is optionally equipped with the Quattro Sports differential. So you don't have to go for it, you could. The V6 does offer that option. And in that case here, this differential can also send more power to the curved outer wheel. So torque distribution on the rear axle. So for example, let's say I accelerate out of the corner that way, really push the throttle, then you have more power on that curved outer wheel, plus more power sent to the rear wheels, that then it feels rear wheel biased. But not in all situations. So we've been driving this Quattro Ultra system, yes, and it still feels sporty, it still feels good, but it is somewhat a different feeling to my S5 from 2018 with the standard Quattro distribution. Key fob, light, slim, it's fine by me. And then here, the door handles, they are like hidden, but they don't fold out or something like that. You just grab here and it's just you don't have a feedback. So I prefer classic door handles. Door closing sound is really solid, like that. Let's see, yeah, this one also has soft close. So this is also an option you don't really need, but could go for. Then inside of the doors, here top part is also soft touch, red contrast stitches. Then we have here some microfiber inserts. That's nice. Classic window levers, also with nice clicking sound. Yeah, and then you see here, this is collection of fingerprints, and this whole unit, I'm not the biggest fan of it, honestly. Are you? Inside of the door pockets, there is a rubber pad on the lower part, but no felt on the inside or something like that. S-line entry badge, because we have here the S-line interior package. You can see it here as well on the steering wheel. Then contrast stitches from the inside. Oh, complains that the vehicle key is not in the car. There we go. Now it recognizes it. Then here, yeah, flat out Audi rings. We push for Audi that they come back in a three-dimensional way. And also here, no real buttons at the steering wheel. They are illuminated and they also have a clicking feedback, but it's one button for all the different functions, definitely. Seats, in this case here with microfiber on the inside. These are the sports seats. You can also see they have more accentuations at the shoulder and so on. So this is as good as it goes at the moment at Audi. They do not offer completely animal-free interiors. This one also has animal share, and Audi has to follow the BMW example there, where the seats are more comfortable, yet animal-friendly. The base ergonomics is actually still decent, and here headroom to this side here with one A9, 6 for 2. Still some headroom left. This one here with the panoramic roof. It is a fixed panoramic roof though. The only thing I could do is use this digital shade here, let's call it that way. Yeah, I can also stop it in the middle. That's also possible. There also this function like in a split view, but this is more like for, yeah, this is show off and has no real use, so to speak. I rather say go for a closed roof, or if you go for a roof, then pick a car where you can actually open it. Other than that, just get the closed roof and that's it. Welcome to the new A6 interior, and the cockpit has a catch because all the new Audis look exactly the same, no matter which segment it is. And the question is, where is the elevation of the A6 segment then? Maybe a little bit here in the middle console, because the A6, in contrast to the A5, here has a soft pad here for, you know, on both sides when you put your leg against it. However, the area where your leg is most pushing against is not here, but rather here. And this part then is hard again. However, in this case, an open carbon fiber, so to speak, this at least has a high class atmosphere. To me, still the problem is that this cockpit has so much high gloss black here all the way. And then the screens are also somewhat high gloss black, the frames around and the screens themselves. Everywhere I see is high gloss black. And when I scroll our comments, you usually tell me that you do not want so much high gloss black. So I would like Audi to listen to that feedback from you guys as well in that respect. It is enclosed and you can see most of the stuff very well. It is somewhat driver focused. Beginning from the middle tech pack, you also get the passenger screen, yeah, which I also don't see as that important, honestly, my opinion at least. And the problem is, if you go for the base version, there is no screen there. But it's not that this one would be gone then, or you can maybe add the wooden decoy element or something. It will just be a black panel. And then, come on, Audi, really? Yeah, because they plan, okay, most will be sold with the screen anyway, and then we don't waste any effort on the base version. Yeah, that's sad. What I find cool is that we have some microfiber here in this middle part. However, you see from the detailed structure, there are quality grades of microfiber. And honestly, you see that, not sure if you can even see it on camera, but for example, on the dashboard and also at the inside of the doors is a different microfiber quality than here on the seats. Here on the seats, this is a great microfiber quality and they paid attention to that. Whereas here again, they wanted to save some money. And you cannot save money on a car in this segment at that price, we'll later talk about the price. So some details I'm not super happy with. There are still some pretty cool things in the interior, like the manual volume jog. This is cool. The inductive charging pad is also cool. 2 USB-C chargers. And you still get along quite well. Shifting lever is integrated right here. Then well attached, this armrest, soft enough for your elbow underneath. Actually quite spacious. Maybe another USB-C charging there would be cool, that I can, because I liked it in the older Audis, I can hide my smartphone here, charge it at the same time, and everything is clutter-free here. So that would be maybe also one of my wishes. Steering wheel is here with the electric control, up and down, in and out. I also have shifting pedals here, by the way. And instruments and infotainment, they blend a little bit. And another big criticism point is, you see where this is going, right? Cool exterior, interior, and driving will be awesome. I can already tell you so far. But the exact driving features in German Autobahn to come very soon. But here, the climate unit, I once again have a problem, like, where should I mean, they thought about rest your hand here and then do like this, but then, yeah, it's a little bit like doing finger athletics pressing this one. It's also so low. This needs to be changed, you know, and I just wish for my 2018 S5 climate wheel I can just turn right and left, clack, 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 clack. Yeah, and we're also pushing at Audi that they bring back these quality features in the vehicle. And digital instruments, you can change some of the views. Big thing is always the RPM meter. But at least when you are in the, I can also turn on the engine. At least when you are in, it depends on the mode you are in. Then you can still see a classic RPM meter view. In the drive select, by the way, you can see that also the air suspension, for example, goes down in the dynamic mode. And in the individual mode, you can, for example, also say, hey, I want the steering with more feedback, but the air suspension on comfort, that would also be a cool setting to me. Gotta say though, the infotainment system speed-wise should be more responsive and quicker nowadays, or what do you think? Inside of the doors at the rear, first of all, the dual insulation is here, not only in the front, but also in the rear. So for all 4 windows, that will make it very silent on the German Autobahn. Then covered here on the top part, it's also somewhat soft, microfiber here and here. Then there's 3-dimensional inserts, so that's nice. As for the rear door, ISOFIX at the outside each, and you can also only slide them up. You don't have to take them out. Nice microfiber quality here on the seats once again. And we can take this here down. 3-point design, very good build quality here. As for that, this artificial leather. And then also here, like sound it makes. This is really, really good. That's what I expect from Audi. This is large middle tunnel. Of course, we have the all-wheel drive. And then here, it's a clicking unit. It is digital, but at least we have, let's say, individual controls also for right and left, 2 USB-C chargers. And then legroom, you get along as a tall adult. There's also a recess here. The usage of the space is of course not always the best in the segment, but you get along as a tall adult. Headroom also here with the sedan, okay, because it rises a little bit to the rear. In the Avant, the Estate, of course, you would have a little bit more headroom. Trunk or boot at 450 liters, 490 without the MF system, by the way, because it's then here causing some space underneath. This one here also fits in vertically, no problem. And here 1.40 meters in width, and then here in the length we have about 1.20 meters or 47 inches, and the height here is about 19 inches or about 50 centimeters. Underneath here just the storage, then here small. Again, there's losing some space because of the MF Plus system. Individual ski hatch would also be possible, and to the seat as we are driving is basically the full ruler, 2 meters or 79 inches. So if you want more flexibility, then you gotta go for the Estate, for the Avant. And yeah, typical German weather is setting in, it seems. Let's go. Oh, nice. I mean, doesn't have like the thickest sound or something, yeah. But still, it's a V6, have good power. Here, by the way, one press of this favorite button, I can set the deactivation of the EU speed chime warning there. on this favorite button, then it's easily deactivated. And the driving is really, really awesome. I can only say that right now, starting here, we'll soon get to the German Autobahn, where it gets even more exciting. Even here in the dynamic mode, where the air suspension is a little bit lower and stiffer, you have great comfort from the suspension, although we have 21-inch wheels. Yes, with smaller wheels you would have more comfort, but still, considering we have these large wheels, you don't feel them that much. It's raining now a little bit, as it sometimes does in Germany. And since we have the dual insulation here, front and rear windows and so on, all good. It's still super silent and relaxing in this vehicle. Steering has a good input, very direct feeling. Also when I do some slight slalom there, also depends a little bit on the driving mode. Here in the comfort we can get even more of that air suspension. Then the steering is a little bit lighter. That's why I can also set the individual mode with the steering is a little bit stiffer then, but the suspension still comfortable. This would be something you can do actually, and I tend to do actually. When I'm here in the CarPlay mode, by the way, it looks like this. Yeah. There we are. Must be me, you know, like Leah had like this electric thing, and it screams as like, oh, when Leah touches me, then I'll follow the command. You know, that's what I do as well, right? I mean, you can't blame the screen. There we are. This is the Apple CarPlay integration you can see right there, and you saw it when I switched the driving mode. After a while, this driving mode selection, you know, it just kind of like dissolves. Huh? I just want to say that it doesn't switch back to the CarPlay, but now it didn't.
Was my finger, yeah.
But it didn't do it last time, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had it recorded on the camera, so... Okay, I correct my statement. Sometimes it switches back to the CarPlay, sometimes not. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. This car is really all about the drive, and it's already good on the countryside, and you can just like flow with traffic. You feel safe, you feel comfortable, it's silent. It almost has a meditating effect also when the raindrops are falling on the screen. Now maybe you feel the same here when looking at our driving part, also here through this panoramic roof. Then yeah, that's a really cool thing. I think Autobahn will be even more interesting now. All right, and Autobahn. That was 100 to 170 kilometers an hour. I think this car proves to be Autobahn worthy, and I mean, it is raining, not too hard yet. So the road is not really wet yet, but still it's super silent for it's raining. I mean, even at 170, yeah, Leah really prefers this car that are really silent at high speeds. I mean, 170 kilometers an hour, and it's like you hear nothing. Like there's no wind noise at all. The only thing we hear at the moment are these raindrops here, but wind noise, rolling noise from tires, you hear nothing. And then here in, why is there the other of a? I'm not sure if you see it on camera, but there's like a pictogram of the udder of a cow at the moment. It's like strange. I didn't switch this.
I think it's a radio.
Yeah, it's a radio station. Like,
absolute oldie.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, okay, back to the car.
Maybe it's a countryside song.
I don't know. back to the car. So really good behavior here in the dynamic mode. that's exactly Leah's humor. Yeah. So a dynamic mode feels really nice. Still enough comfort. And in the comfort mode, once again, air suspension. Leah's not finished it laughing at, but that's beautiful.
Can you maybe change it?
When I keep the pictogram, then I'm not sure if the steering is big blocking there, but yeah, as I said, a pictogram of an udder of a cow. Do you say udder? I think yeah. Interesting. So back to the comfort mode. So more comfort from the suspension, but I mean good in any mode. Let's do a lane change here on the motorway. Beautiful. Yeah, so smooth. You know, it's actually an autobahn machine, you know, and it's like nothing. You drive high speeds and it feels like you were driving slowly in the city, you know. A good blind spot monitor integration, by the way. I think the other Audi wants to overtake us maybe. Yeah, blind spot monitor integration here in the side mirror, very visible. Love that integration. And we can also check out the assistance systems. So here we go. Adaptive cruise control, also with lane keeping, and does it in a very smooth way. Well, this trailer here is starting to move a little bit, right? Have you seen that? Gotta keep it straight. So here, really smooth. Also, how it's keeping the car in the lane is very well done. And if you at any point are annoyed with this lane keeping assist, I mean, you don't have to use the cruise control, but also here, it's a left column. Press it once, and then you can switch between if you want to have lane guidance inside the adaptive cruise control, or this trick, press and hold. Then, after a couple of seconds, the normal lane keeping assist is deactivated. Here on the motorway, it's working perfectly fine. But sometimes when you're driving on countryside roads, then it might be annoying. And then they can also easily deactivate. So I think it's really good that they found a solution that you can easily deactivate the things that you maybe don't like while driving. Yeah, that's the cool thing. You maybe saw also these animations here with the turning indicators. Yeah, you don't need to have it, but they just offer that here in the new generation, that you have this visualization. Okay, I'm fine with that, you know, so why not? And they also picked the green color because that fits to the green arrows that are being signalized here in the instruments, whereas on the exterior, of course, the indicators are always yellow. There you can see it here in the front one more time. So yeah, even though it's raining, special atmosphere as well, such a cool ride on the motorway. So it can hardly be better, actually. The only thing, the seating comfort is not the best. There, for example, as I said, the BMW 5 Series is a million miles ahead in seating comfort, just from the base ergonomics, plus then also, you know, how plush it is to sit on it. On the contrary, then, however, the 5 Series is louder on the Autobahn, whereas the A6 and the E-Class are way more silent at higher speeds. And fuel economy here, around 9 liters on 1 kilometers, 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. Pricing starts around 55,000 euros, for example, in Germany here. Then we go more towards 70,000 euros with the 6-cylinder. And this vehicle here, fully packed, spec'd to the max, 103,000 euros. So what's your take here on the A6 sedan? I think really cool from the front side. Not the biggest fan of the new rear design. That's where I prefer the outgoing generation, honestly. Interiors, good build quality. This new cockpit panel, we can discuss about that, especially the climate control. So I hope that Audi is taking our feedback and then going back to the rear knobs. I heard some voices inside Audi that, yeah, they will be going back to some things we want as Audi fans. But there might be other things that we don't like. We have to see, about the future then. We're keeping you updated. Space, of course, in the rear, always limited in this segment, considering the exterior length. The main point about the A6, and also in comparison to the competitors, it drives amazing. So great drive, especially with the air suspension. It's super silent, also on the German Autobahn at higher speeds. That's what this car is made of. Of course, you can get more comfort if you don't go for these super large wheels. They look stunning, but then again, if you at least stick with 20 or even 19-inch, you will have even more riding comfort, because this is all about the riding comfort. And in its segment, if you compare BMW 5 Series or Mercedes E-Class, this one is also very silent. It has a great sporty drive. So from the driving, a lot of fun and comfort at the same time. That's what we also expect from an Audi A6. And in this case, especially then also with the V6 here, really holds what it promises. Of course, the Mercedes E-Class and the BMW 5 Series also very interesting. So if you have not compared them yet, we also have some videos there right now.